everybody. Happy Saturday night. What are you doing tonight? You know what you're doing? You're watching me. That's what you're doing. Welcome to Starving Artist Podcast Show. We are live today at Hub 17, 73 Wave Street in Staten Island, New York. So we'll be here, and we have Chris Mancuso. Chris Mancuso, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, definitely. Chris Mancuso is the foster adoption manager from Louies Legacy. And if you don't know what is Louies Legacy is, they're an animal rescue organization. And they're here located also in Staten Island, correct?
Yeah, we have main locations in Staten Island, but we have fosters kind of located throughout the 5 boroughs.
Yes, and Louies Legacy, today he brought his little Graceland cat, and she's in her carrier today. Before we started, it's so funny because she was like, I don't want to know nobody. She ran right under the sofa over there. She was all over the place, and he's just trying to catch her.
Yeah, she's a little scared today. She's not used to all the public attention, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. But we was like, come on. But she is in there, and she's a beautiful cat.
Yeah, we'll bring her out for a little guest appearance in a bit,
In a little while, yes. So, Louies Legacy. So, tell us a little bit about how Louies Legacy started, and the organization, and who are the people that started Louies Legacy?
Well, actually, Louies Legacy is the kind of dream child of one person, which is our founder and executive president, Emily Gear. 11 years ago, she started actually Louies Legacy. And she started, I think, by fostering with another rescue. You know, she at the time was told me she was like suffering from like PTSD, and taking in a foster dog, you know, kind of, I guess, helped her cope with that PTSD. And it also gave her that purpose.
Wow.
So from there, she started that, you know, kind of one-person rescue, and now we are probably one of the largest rescues, foster-based rescues in the country. We have, we have a base in New York, but we also have a sister, mirror image in Ohio, which is probably even bigger.
Wow. Oh, yeah, that's right, because I believe, if you guys don't know, I'm also a part of the volunteer with Louies Legacy as a photographer. So, that's also another great thing that Louies Legacy has is the volunteership program with Louies Legacy. Now, I'm sure you have a lot of different categories for different types of volunteers.
Absolutely. I mean, if you have a passion about rescuing animals, we got a position for you. If you got a talent that you want to, that you have, we got a position for you.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
If you just want to, foster a dog or a cat, we got a position for you. You know what I mean? So definitely a lot of open spots. We're always looking for, the animal lovers out there that want to help contribute to the greater cause.
Yeah, definitely. I know because I'm a dog lover myself, and I have a beagle. I had a mixed Chihuahua, but he passed away like 2 years ago. He was already up there. Thank you. He was 14 years old, and he had a congestive heart failure. So that was my buddy. He was always literally up my ass. So it's like the minute that I walked in the door, he was there. So, you kind of miss that.
Of course. I mean, and even with cats, because I'm one of the crazy cat guys out there. And people tend to think that most cats are aloof, but they're really not. They're actually very social animals. I come home, I get cats that come running to greet me like a dog.
Oh my God!
Oh, meow, meow,
They miss
I say hi to them before I say hi to my wife. Well, they actually come see me first. I guess that's why.
That's so funny. Oh my God! But that's how they are because they're like your children.
Absolutely, little furry kids, and. I always tell people to keep in mind when you're adopting, you take in a pet. It's like for us, they are part of our world, and part of our life. Right. But for them, we are it. We are their whole world.
Yes, and that's why it's like when I see horror stories about animal abuse and,
Yeah.
you know, how these dogs and cats were abused and neglected. You know, it's just like you want to take that human and you just want to pound them in the face. Like, how would you
Yeah,
do that?
yeah. I mean, I have things to say I can't say on your show, so I'm just gonna leave it at it's very tragic a lot of times. Things
Yes.
that happen, but luckily there are rescues like Louis Legacy and
Yeah.
other rescues out there that will take those animals in.
Yeah, definitely. Thank God for that, you know, because, you know, it will be a disaster out there.
Yeah, and there's a home for every animal. The right home is out there, no matter what is kind of wrong with the
Right.
dog or the cat. There's somebody out there willing to give that animal a loving home.
Now, how do you guys, this is my question, how do you guys vet, like, who will be not the perfect, because nobody's perfect, but like, you would know, okay, you know, this cat is up for adoption or for fostering, or how do you vet them people out to make sure that they're not those types of people that abuse animals?
Well, I mean, with people who are trying to adopt and stuff, we have our vetting process. We have our adoption counselors. We'll call references. If they have another pet, make sure we call the vet reference. The vet reference always give you a good idea if this person's going to taking care of their present animal.
Right.
If they're not, probably not a good fit to get another animal. We have our trained adoption counselors who, we ask questions and we gauge the answers, and you can kind of tell, by their answers what would be a good fit.
Right, right.
And there's, one of the things that we do now, it's called people-focused adoptions. And we've been doing that kind of initiative for like the last 6 months.
Right.
And, there could be somebody out there. Let's say you, for example, you want to adopt, a dog. You're thinking, I want a husky or an Australian cattle dog.
Right.
Beautiful animals, right?
Yeah,
Great.
they are.
But maybe your lifestyle, I'm kind of sedentary. Look at me. I'm like, obviously sit down a lot. I'm not a very active person. That type of dog, maybe not so good for me. Those are kind of like working breed dogs.
Right.
So they need to get out that energy, that mental stimulation,
Right.
or else, they can become bored and become destructive.
Right.
So maybe that's not a good fit for you, but our adoption counselors will work with you
Okay.
to maybe find you, hey, this is your lifestyle.
Right.
This is kind of what you like. Let's find a good match.
Right.
And so then it might wind up being a Yorkie, a Chihuahua, or just some other kind of general mutt mix that's
Right.
just not as high energy, high active, and the converse as well.
Right. Yeah. Well, of course, you would have to match them according to their lifestyle.
Yeah, like if a guy runs 7 miles a day, I'm
Yeah.
not going to take a little Chihuahua on a 7-mile run. It's carrying them.
I know. Well, my Chihuahua, God bless his soul. I mean, he gave me a run for my money, but he was the Chihuahua mix. So he was mixed. He was pretty big, for a Chihuahua, and I talk about him because I miss him.
Of course.
And the thing with him was he was very active when I first got him. Of course, he was little, but as he got older, I want to tell you a little quick story so you can laugh. As he got older, he did not want to go out. He's like, but then I had my beagle, so we walked both of the dogs, right? So at that time, my beagle, he was younger, he was more active. So then my Scrappy was just lagging back, right? So he hated the winter, the snow and the sleet.
Can't blame him for that.
I know, I hated winter too. So and we would put his little socks and his jacket on and stuff like that. He was ready to go. So I'll be like maybe a year or two before he passed, he would do this thing like he knew it was snowing outside. He knew it was either raining or whatever. Okay, we'll take them out. So not even 5 minutes into the walk, what does he do? He starts limping and limping. I'm like, oh my God, Scrappy, what's the matter with you? Oh my God, are you okay? So I had to pick him up and walk the other dog, right? The minute that he knew we were coming back,
Yeah, I see where this is going.
okay, I put him on the ground. He was like, yeah, I'm ready
Got a little
to
pep in
go.
his step, right? Yeah.
I was like, you're such a little liar. So I was like, don't you do that to me again. So now my other dog does it. I was like, what, you got Scrappy in you? So
They know how to manipulate us.
they do. And I was so worried. I'm like, and there was another time, I'm sorry I'm going into this, but there was another time I thought that he could not see. Because every time I would call him, Scrappy, Scrappy, come here, Scrappy. And he would be like this. And I was like, oh my God, he can't see his eyes. I took him to the vet, spent a whole shitload of money. I'm sorry. He had nothing wrong with his eyes. He just didn't care what I was doing. Oh my God.
That's kind of like owning a cat. You know?
Oh my God. It was so crazy with that dog. And I was like, oh, but when he passed away, it was just horrible. My life fell apart.
It really is. I've lost several pets.
Yeah.
My wife and I will take in some special needs pets.
Yeah.
Last year we took in a 19-year-old Siamese cat with kidney disease. I knew it was going to be a kind of a hospice situation when I adopted the cat from the shelter.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I can't leave this poor cat, old cat, in the shelter.
I know.
To languish. So,
yeah.
I paid the adoption fee. I took her home. She was with us for 7 months.
Really?
I only expected her to last about 3. So I'm like, hey, I felt blessed to get that extra 4 months with her and, give her that dignity of a loving home before she's able to pass.
And that's a good thing. I mean, you've made her comfortable.
That's all. That's sometimes all you can do. We try to take the best care of them when they're in that condition.
Yeah.
You make them comfortable.
Yeah.
But it's still hard. To watch them pass like that.
Yeah, it is. It really is. But like I say, because I have other friends that have their pets pass away and they were older already, and I was like, you know what? Don't even think about it. Like you gave that animal a good life. You took care of them, you gave them love, and that was a blessing itself.
I always tell people the best way you can honor your pet's memory, whether it be a dog or a cat, is to save another life.
Yeah, and it's true. And it's true.
That dog, that cat wouldn't want you to never love again. We have big hearts.
Yeah,
they'll break. We can always put them back together, and there's always room we could squeeze another little animal love in there. I
know. I mean, my husband, he's like, oh, after, we, my other dog, if he, when he passes away, I'm like, I don't want no other dogs. I don't want nothing else. But that's what I said when I had the other one.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's going to be like that.
I've heard that, and I can empathize because it's difficult, and everybody has to go through their own grieving process.
Yeah.
But I tell people just at least keep that option open.
Yeah.
Never say never. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
There might be that other dog or cat that's gonna
Yeah.
twist your heart in that respect.
I know. It's like, oh my God, I can't. I'm gonna take you home.
And don't look to replace. You don't want to find the exact replacement of your dog or cat because you're never going to.
No.
So set those expectations. You can love a totally different personality animal.
It's true, and you would never think that. Oh my God, I never thought that I was gonna. Love this type of dog or this type of cat, But once you see them, I think it's that connection that you have.
Chance.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
I have an affinity also for I love the black cats. Obviously I love black. It's my favorite color. But, black cats usually get the crap end of the stick, when it comes to adoptions and stuff. But they have the best personalities,
They
really do.
They really do. My daughter had 4 cats at one time, and I couldn't even go to her house because I'm allergic to cats.
Oh, you couldn't get on my front doorstep then.
Oh my God. The minute I would go in there, and it's like I had my allergy pills and my pump, and I was just done. So I was like, oh, I can't come visit you. Get those cats in the room or something. But, that's how they are. So, Chris.
Yes, ma'am.
How did you get involved with Louies' legacy?
Well, how I got involved, starts with, I guess, rescue, which is kind of a long, maybe interesting or amusing story, depending on the listener, I guess. But way back when, I used to do paranormal documentaries, ghost hunting and stuff like that.
Oh my God, what a difference, huh?
I know, but that's a long, winding road that got me here. But after doing that, I'd say for 12 years, at one point, I was a total skeptic in the whole, I didn't believe ghosts were real, people had spirits, this and that.
Yeah.
But I had that one kind of epiphany, that kind of oh crap moment, that wow, yeah, this is real.
This is happening, yeah.
And people have spirits and this and that, and so I started to believe that. Actually, why I crossed today.
Amen.
Not that I'm a very religious person, but I believe,
Yes. Well, we can start with the belief.
Yeah, that's it. Got to start somewhere anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe a year after that, I actually saw a ghost cat. Now, I know it's going to sound crazy. And I know I sound crazy, but I don't care because I'm going to tell the truth.
Listen, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to hear this story.
All right, so my wife and I, we adopted a senior cat from her grandmother. Her grandmother got sick, couldn't take care of the cat anymore. So we adopted a senior cat. Her name was Sunny Girl. Then we had another cat. A couple of years later, we took another cat off the street. We named him Van Doozer because he was found on Van Doozer Street, which is right around here.
Yes.
So Sunny Girl passed away when she was like 16. Heartbreaking, you know what I mean? That was the first cat I ever owned, honestly. First, you know, I've always was a dog person. But my wife, you know, married my wife, she liked cats, and she liked dogs too. But we got a cat because that's what we can, you know, fit in our apartment at the time, you know? So she passed away.
Right.
And then my wife was kind of upset about that. So we adopted 2 other kittens, you know?
Okay.
By this point now, they were like 11 months old. So we had 3 cats in the house.
Okay.
So my wife was talking to me at one point. She's like, you know, I keep seeing shadows. Like a cat running around. I'm like, well, of course you do. We have Van Duzer, we have the 2 kittens. Of course you're seeing cats everywhere.
Oh my God.
Crazy lady, you know? So, but she's saying, no, I think it's Sunny Girl. I'm like, yeah, all right, okay.
Oh boy.
So anyway, one day now, I'm coming out. I have an office in my apartment. It's the back room. And it was not uncommon for my cat Van Duzer to come running into my office, or, you know, Sunny Girl come running into my office to visit me and stuff.
Right.
So after a long night of work, I, you know, open my door.
Right.
Here comes a cat. Black cat. Oh, that's Van Duzer.
Right.
The one was black. And I see him right out of the corner of my eye. And, you know, you could tell the way a cat walks, that kind of saunter.
Yeah.
And the tail's up in the air with a curl at the end.
Yeah.
And I said, Van Duzer, you can't stay in here. You know, because I want to get out of here. You can't stay in here now.
Oh, my God.
And I look down. There's no cat.
Oh, my God.
And I look all around. You know, my room's not that big.
Right.
And there's no cat. And then I kind of peek out the office door, and I could see right into the living room on my couch. And there's Van Duzer.
No way.
He does one of these. Looks at me, puts his head back down.
Right.
And the 2 kittens are helping my wife fold the laundry in the other room.
Right.
So now I'm just like, what did I just see?
Really?
What did I just see? You know, because I'm not crazy. I mean, I am crazy, but I'm not that kind of crazy.
Oh, my
Okay?
God. No.
I called up a guy named John Zaffis. He's been in the paranormal for like 40 years. I always kind of looked at him like a mentor.
Right.
You know? And I had a...
Is that...
The Haunted Collector.
Yeah.
The Haunted Collector is, you know, he's been around.
Well, wait a minute. It's not the one that does Ghost Adventures, or...
No, that was Zach.
that was his name.
Zach
yes,
Baggins.
Yes.
But John Zaffis, he's if you ever heard of Ed and Lorraine Warren, the movie The Conjuring.
Yes.
Okay, that's their nephew.
Oh, really?
So he got involved through all those crazy kind of cases.
Wow, that's crazy.
And like I said, he was kind of a guy that I always looked to. You know, he was my friend, but I always was able to go to him with my paranormal questions because, you know, I was doing this for like 10 years, but he's been doing this for like, you know, 40. So this is the guy I want to talk to.
Yeah, definitely.
And I asked him, I was like, John, is it possible for animals to have spirits? Because I don't know what just happened here.
Right.
So we had this whole conversation, you know, and really in depth, like really deep conversation. And me and John usually have like a very comedic, you know, friendship. But I mean, this was like dead serious. By the time I hung up with him, I was, you know, I'm like, okay, there's
something there.
This is real. And then the realization hit me with all the kind of the dogs and the cats and the shelters that get euthanized and they don't know any love. And I just kind of like a brick it hit me. I was like, wow, I got to do something.
Right.
And I didn't picture it would be this.
Right.
What I did was I kind of I did a Google search and I looked online and said, I want to help out one of these animal rescues. I want to do a little part.
Right.
And I found there was a first rescue that popped up, Staten Island Hope Animal Rescue. So I reached out to them and I said, hey, you know, I do videos and stuff like that. I'd like to make a little promotional video for you guys. You know, kind of get your cause out there. And I figured that's what I would do and that would be the end of it.
Right.
You know, I pat myself on the back. I'm a good guy for doing that, right? But, you know, so I did that. But then I started getting a little more involved because I saw there was a need.
Right.
And then I started getting a little more involved. You know, then I started fostering and I started doing this and I started doing, and within like a year, I was basically the assistant director of that, you know, cat rescue.
Right.
So,
wow.
You know, I did that for a couple of years and left that rescue. Now I'm basically with the Louies legacy, you know.
Yeah.
I did a little thing on my own for a while. The emergency kitten pantry.
Okay.
And I still try to help. I still try to do that when I can. I have for people when they find those abandoned neonate kittens.
Right.
They're only like maybe a couple of days, a week old. I give them free supplies to kind of
okay.
help them, you know, nurse the cat, you
right.
know. So I can't take your cat, but I can give you the stuff to help the cat.
To help
know?
the cat.
So I still try to do that when it's needed.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that's a great thing because, you know, there's so many people that do need the help with that. You know, it's like when I lived in Brooklyn and, you know, how Brooklyn is, they all have the, you know, the buildings and stuff like that. So right across the street from where I used to live, you know, there was a lady there and I was younger, like maybe, teenager. And I would look at her and I was like, what is she putting out there? And when I went to, how kids are, they're nosy. So I went across the street and I was like, what did she put? She put like rows of cans of cat food. So,
the stray cats outside.
yeah. So I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. Like, we called her the cat lady because she had,
Obviously.
yeah, because she had all these cats from the neighborhood come to the alleyway where people throw out the garbage, and there was a passageway there. So all those cats from, I guess, from all the, from the blocks down the block and across the street. So it's like when she put out that food,
They come running.
oh my God,
Yeah.
it's like,
Well, same thing in my house. I'm going to have a lot of cats. I open up a can of, even a can of tuna, a can of cat food, cat stampede.
I'm telling you, it's crazy.
They never ate before. I feed them every day.
Oh my God, that's crazy, right? I say, well, if you build it, they will come.
Exactly. If you open it, they will come.
They will come, definitely. I'm telling you, man. My first pet was a cat.
Really?
Yes, and I remember his name until this day. His name was Rolly. I don't know. I was 11. So, but that's when I discovered that I was allergic to cats.
That would do it. Owning a cat.
Yeah, definitely. But I loved him so much, and I was like, my mother's like, "No, you're allergic. Look where you." I blow up.
Aw.
It's like the nose, the hairs get into my nose and my skin, and I start to itch, and I blow up like a balloon. But
Yeah, I'm allergic. I'm allergic to cats too. I just,
you lying over here.
that's why I blew up.
Oh God! But you gotta love the animals. You gotta love them. I mean, they're innocent. They depend on us, and
They're great companions.
They really are. They really are. So, how many how many animals would you say come across a week
Well,
through the agency?
that's hard to say. I mean, a lot.
A lot, right?
Well, I'll say last year, the New York branch, we saved over 1,000 animals.
Wow.
Like 1,100 animals. And we adopted out, at that point, at the end of the year, 854. Dogs, cats, puppies, kittens throughout the year. This year, we're going to do even better. We're already on our way to adopting out 1,000 right now. So that's
Awesome.
good.
That's really good. I mean, it must be a mission to try to, get these.
It's a lot of work, and thankfully we have a lot of dedicated volunteers because the volunteers are the lifeblood of the organization.
Right.
We're a 501c3 charity organization, so
I was gonna ask you that,
The,
yeah.
the volunteers are the lifeblood, and without them, the whole thing would kind of disintegrate.
Definitely, I agree because according to the adoptions and stuff like that. I mean, there's so many other different agencies out there. So with Louies' legacy, I mean, what would you say that it will be different from any other?
I won't actually say anything's different, and I honestly don't look at any other rescues out there as like, hey, this is my competition. We're kind of we're all on the same team. We're all working for the same goal.
Right.
And if I know a rescue out there that has a particular animal that maybe somebody applied for us looking for a specific dog or cat type, we don't have it, I'd recommend them to that other group because it's still saving a life.
Good.
And that that's the most important thing. I
Right.
think is saving a life. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So, rescue like any other thing. Sometimes egos can get in the way, but I never look at it like that. I reach out. I help other rescues when I can.
Right.
They'll reach out and help me if I need it. So, we try to have that very simpatico relationship, like I said, because we're all working for the benefit of the animals.
That's great. That's how it's supposed to be, really.
Exactly.
Because I mean, you're trying to give that person, I mean, those animals a good home. So definitely, that's a good way to work together.
We try.
I know. So with this COVID and this pandemic going on, how has that been affected? Has it affected you or?
Well, honestly, I mean, the whole thing, it's a terrible situation,
Right.
obviously. But for rescue, I think it, in a sense, has had a positive impact. Because when everybody got under lockdown, under quarantine, we had a bombardment of new fosters come in because, hey, they can't go out every day. Let me, I'm not going to work anymore. Let me foster a dog. Let me foster a cat.
Right.
So, I mean, within, I think, March, end of March, April, May, hundreds of new fosters jumped on board to help
Wow.
out, that was really great. It allowed us to help more animals,
Right.
and we still were able to do modified adoptions,
Right.
with the whole pandemic, so
Yeah.
we're able to still do them, which is good. So we haven't been slowed down by it.
Good. That's good.
It's still, obviously a terrible thing.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's good. At least it hasn't, slowed the process down as far as, trying to get those animals good homes and stuff like that.
I mean, that was one thing actually, honestly, I was worried about.
Yeah.
Of course, because I'm like, well, all these animals then are going to get left in the shelter. They're all going to die. But
Yeah.
so many
Thank
people
God.
stepped up. You know what I mean? And we were looked at, all the animal rescues are looked at by the state as an essential organization.
Good.
So we were allowed to continue to do what we had to do.
That's amazing. That's really good. So,
I'm very
people out
grateful for
there. Oh, look, we have a question. It says, what has been your most exciting rescue?
Exciting. All right, we'll go by exciting. Exciting's going. This is when I was actually with the other rescue, the cat rescue. Got a call, actually a Facebook message around 11 o'clock at night. There was a cat stuck up in the tree, actually on top of a telephone pole about 30 feet in the air. It'd been up there for she's 12 hours.
Oh, wow.
Couldn't come down. Cats are very adept at climbing
Oh,
up.
yeah.
Not so much coming down, I guess. They get a little scared. And again, this is right over here, right off of Van Duzer Street.
Right.
So what am I going to do? I don't have a giant ladder,
Right.
But I called my friend Mike. He was also part of the rescue. Thankfully, Mike worked for Con Edison.
Oh,
So Mike called
okay.
up somebody at Con Edison. Hey, can you guys help us out? We ran down there, had my camera. We ran down there. I'm not going to climb. I can't climb the pole. I'm not
Right.
that agile. But they sent out a cherry picker.
Right.
I gave the guy the carrier, and I'm filming it. And the guy goes up there, all 30 feet in the air, in his little cherry picker. And
Oh, my God.
the cat's up on top of the pole, terrified. And he coaxed it in there. And
Yeah.
Came down.
Oh, wow.
Saved the cat.
Thank God.
which
Saved
was
the cat.
great. My wife and I fostered it, and got it at home real quick, which is great.
Oh, that's amazing. That is really good. Well, I know.
That was exciting.
That was an exciting moment. I
Yeah.
don't think it was too much exciting for the cat.
No. I mean, I was worried too because I'm like, I don't, it's 1 o'clock in the morning at this point.
Right.
We're out there 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, my God.
And so I didn't want to leave him up there. So thankfully, I said, thank goodness.
Yes.
Con Edison came. And they actually came another time too. A couple of months later, another cat in a tree somewhere else.
Oh, my
And
God.
we called them, and the cat was pretty high up there too.
Jesus.
And they got the cat out. So I got to thank Con Edison for doing that because other agencies and stuff weren't able to help at that point.
Well, that's good. At
It was
least.
definitely good PR for them.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It is. They're good for something sometimes. So, what are you going to do, right? So, how many, I want to ask, a couple or whoever's going to come in and they want to adopt or they want to foster. Is there a limit to how many animals they could adopt or foster at that moment? Like one or two? Maybe they say,
Well-
I want to take all three of those dogs.
Well, if it's if it's like a puppy, like puppies, we foster our puppies in pairs.
Right.
We do that for socialization purposes.
Okay.
You can take 3 puppies if you think you can handle 3 puppies to foster. Go ahead.
Oh
Please do. But once a lot of times when people get 3 puppies, they realize, well, this is a little bit more than I bargained for.
Yeah.
But some people can handle it. So
Well, I mean-
fostering, definitely more the better. But as far as if you're adopting a dog, we really don't let people adopt 2 puppies from the same litter,
Right.
Because they can develop what's called littermate syndrome.
Really?
And that can negatively affect their ability to form bonds with people or other animals because they're so kind of interlocked and have their own kind of sibling back and forth. It's really not great for their development.
Oh, I see. Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either until I started working for Louies.
There you go.
I
You
learn something
see?
new all the time.
Oh God, that's so funny. But that's good because a lot of people, they have the space, they have the yard, they have the home, for them to foster and stuff like that. I have a couple of friends that have large homes, and they're like, I would love to get a couple of dogs or some cats or
And,
stuff like that.
fostering, it's a good way to know if you're ready
Yeah.
for the responsibility of caring for an animal the rest of your life. Because that's what it is. It's, adopting an animal is a lifetime commitment.
It is.
So fostering will kind of give you a good idea if that's something you can handle.
Right.
Especially with puppies.
Right.
People think puppies are cute and puppy kisses, yes, but it is a lot of work. And I always try to stress that, it is a lot of work. It's sometimes sleepless nights because puppies at night will bark. People don't seem to realize that.
Yeah.
They
like
do.
Having a baby.
It is, exactly. You know? But I'm like, it's usually it's only, especially with puppies, it's only for a couple of weeks.
Right.
If you have a baby, you're not sleeping for a good 2-3 years.
Oh God.
But if you take in a puppy, you might not sleep for like 2 or 3 weeks.
I know. Let me tell you, when I got my beagle, because he's 9 now, and he suffers from epilepsy.
Oh.
Yeah. So he's on lifetime medication. And that's something like, it just kills me. But he's already knows. He hears the bottle and he comes running. He puts his, he's like, okay, I'm ready.
Time for the meds.
I'm telling you. But when he was smaller, when I first got him, oh my God, he just peed everywhere. And I would come home from work and I'm like, this damn dog. I told you I didn't want another dog. And but eventually I wind up falling in love with him,
And,
but
a lot of things, they can come out of that stuff, they just gotta learn,
It is. And, the thing is that so many different people have different techniques to train the dog, but sometimes people could be a little rough. Sometimes people, they're not too rough.
There's gotta be that good balance, of course. We always recommend that people, refer to a professional trainer. Mm-hmm. I also recommend if you're taking in a dog or a puppy, crate training.
Right.
It's super important.
Right.
Crate training is really important. People look at it sometimes as doggy jail.
Yeah.
But it's really not, because if you think about what's a dog's natural instinct,
right,
is to be protective, protect its space.
Right.
So when you leave the house,
right,
you got a 3-bedroom apartment. That dog's going to try to protect that whole apartment.
Right.
If the dog is in the crate, it's just got to worry about its own little space, and we make that space a nice space. It's a good space.
Right.
You put the toys in there, you put the blankets in there. You know what I mean? And the dog can own that space and decompress in there and feel like, this is mine. I don't have to stress out.
Definitely, of course. You
got
like
a little den,
Yes, you have to give them their own space.
Absolutely.
To let them know this is your home, and you're welcome, and this is your space, and you just gotta give them love and let them know and train them.
Cats too. Cats love hidey holes.
Yeah.
I tell anybody when they get a cat, make sure you have a lot of places where a cat can go hide, and give them a few days. Dogs and cats, give them a few days. They got to decompress.
Right.
Their entire world has been flipped upside down, whether they're in a foster home or a shelter, or you took them outside.
Right.
Inside.
Right.
Everything now is new.
Right.
And that's very stressful for people. That would be stressful. So imagine how stressful it is for an animal who doesn't really understand what's happening.
I know. It's like, who are these people?
Right.
Like, what am I doing here?
Right. That's your dog now, but they don't know it yet.
Right. They don't know it yet. Yeah. They'll be shocked. Like, hey, It
usually takes a dog like 3 days to decompress, and then 3 weeks to really start to relax, and then 3 months to go,
right,
I'm family.
Yeah.
So there's like the kind of 3 rule there.
Definitely. You gotta, let them,
it's all about their time. They got to be comfortable.
Definitely, of course, So, a lot of dogs, they have a bad name. And I'm going to bring up pit bulls. I'm going to bring up Dobermans and some German Shepherds.
Sure.
And this is the type of breed that a lot of people refuses, or they just don't
shy away from.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of apartments, apartment buildings. No aggressive breeds. I mean, aggressive is a very subjective term.
Right.
But of course, when they're saying aggressive breeds, they're
just
referring to pit bulls.
Just to describe how people see it,
Yeah, and honestly, it's really just about the way it's about the personality of the animal, the whole nature versus nurture kind of debate. It's really is. It's nurture.
Right.
I
mean, because, I have nieces that they've had pit bulls before. I have a niece, she loves them. And, the last pit bull that she had was it was like over 10 years ago. But he was really solid, really big. I mean, the head
They can look intimidating.
Yeah.
Of course.
And it's like, I was a little intimidated when I would go into the house. I'm like, where's your dog?
That's why sometimes people adopt them, though, for the wrong reasons in that respect.
Right.
Because they look intimidating.
Right.
And then they don't socialize them properly. Maybe properly. Maybe they're looking for a guard dog or something like that.
Yeah.
So the pit bulls do get a bad name because of that. They get a bad rep. Same thing with Shepherds. Same thing with Dobermans.
Yes.
You know, and if you know, Dobermans don't really, you know the typical Doberman with the
Yeah.
pointed ears,
Yeah.
crop tail. That's not really how they look.
Right. No, they cut. Yeah.
They cut that. They crop that.
Yeah.
So they get that look. You know.
But why would they do that? Just to give them a
Aesthetics.
tougher look?
Just
or
to give them that
something?
aesthetic look that
That's
they want.
horrible.
You know, we had Doberman puppies come in. They got the floppy ears. You know what I mean? You know,
Yeah.
people want to cut them. And we're like, don't do that.
No, I
Don't
think
do that.
changing, their appearance just to make them look.
Yeah, that's a vanity thing for people more than anything else.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just horrible to when they have that type of ways to. Okay, let me make that dog look, rough and tough, and a lot of people, like you said, they've caught them with pit bulls, how they train them. Some of them, a lot of people have gotten pit bulls because they want to train them so they can fight. And that's so abusive.
It really is. I mean, those are obviously the people who should not have animals.
Exactly.
Ever.
Yes.
But yeah, that's one of the reasons why they got that kind of bad reputation, even though it's really not. We get pit bulls in rescue.
Right.
In our rescue, and we get them as puppies, we get them as adults.
Right.
And it's all about how you treat them in the beginning.
That's what I say. I mean, it's all how, when you get them and, we're the ones that instill that violence.
Yes, absolutely,
And
100%.
we're the ones that train them, basically. Even though I've had this dispute before, because a lot of them say, well, that's their nature of them being that type of aggressive dog or something like that. But I feel, it's how you train them. It's how
as
you teach
the
them.
dog's owner, you are the pack leader.
Right.
So you set the tone, you set the standard.
Right.
For how that animal should act, especially dogs, because dogs are pack animals.
Right.
Cats are social too.
Yeah.
But dogs more so are those, they kind of follow your example.
Right, definitely. It's all how you train them.
And dogs and cats as well, they're actually very sensitive to the way we are, our
Right.
moods. If you're walking your dog and you get tense, that dog's going to sense that. That dog's going to get tense.
Yeah.
If you're relaxed, hopefully the dog will be relaxed,
Definitely, I agree. So, but how long is the process for somebody to come in and say, I want to adopt a dog?
If you want to adopt a dog,
Or a cat.
or a cat. The process is the same. You kind of somebody would look on the website, let's say, this dog or cat looks like it'll be a good fit, and they'll
Right.
fill out an application. Usually within a couple of days, we'll have someone reach out. One of our adoption counselors
Right.
reach out, kind of go over their application with them, and do kind of a phone interview, and then see if that animal they chose, is this really the right animal for you. If it's not, then we'll work with you to find another animal,
Right.
another pet.
Right.
So that process can take a little bit longer, but it's also worth it. So you're making sure you're matched correctly.
Right.
But the process could be, a couple of days, a week, or it could be a couple of weeks.
Okay. All
And
right.
we don't set like a limit on it per se.
Right. It's just how the process
Just how long the
goes
process takes, how communicative, or how, the people are in response. You know what I mean?
Right.
We call you up. You don't call us back, in a day. We're going to move on to the next application. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because, that animal has, you want to adopt Sparky? Sparky also has 50 other applications,
Right.
So we'll kind of go in order then if the first person, after the conversation, or if they just decide, okay, maybe this isn't right for me, we'll go down the line, and then we'll work with that person to find somebody else.
Good. All right, so that's pretty fast. It's not
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
long, daunting process or anything like that. But have you ever had or had come across any issues with somebody that was fostering a dog or a cat and they returned the cat or the dog in a, like being abused or, not being well taken care of?
Yes, to an extent, never abuse.
Right.
You know what I mean? But some people just like maybe wasn't a good fit. They got good hearts.
Right.
But just weren't a good fit for the animal. Didn't have time for the animal.
Right.
So I don't want to say anything was abuse, but maybe they didn't spend enough time with especially with cats. And kittens need that socialization.
Right.
So if you don't give kittens or even puppies the right socialization,
Right.
they're not properly socialized. So that
Yeah.
can, then the next person has to work with them extra hard.
Right.
So that has happened on occasion. So we always try to, educate our fosters
Right.
As much as possible. And we set each one of our fosters up with a foster mentor.
Right.
And that's one of our longer-term fosters who's had a bunch of animals come and go, been with us a while.
Right.
And they can guide them through the whole process.
Right.
And answer any of their questions. And, like I said, sometimes being a foster can be challenging.
Yes.
So we have these people to advise on those situations and try to help support them through those challenges.
That's good. At least, there are people that are, communicative with the foster parents, and, they also need help.
Absolutely.
To basically, deal with the fostering.
I've had a foster who, great heart, wanted to foster kittens, but then it's like couldn't do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
With the interaction. So I took them, and then I helped the kitten kind of come out of its shell a little more.
Aww.
Especially because when they are, let's say, when they're off the street and they're a little bit, I don't want to say feral, but they're
Right.
not socialized. They're scared of people.
Yeah.
You can't be afraid of a 2-month-old kitten that goes. They'll hiss.
Oh my God, that's so
what
funny.
I do.
I laugh, but it's
It's true. So what I do, some people are scared.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So, it's tiny, but it's
yeah.
all right. You're gonna hiss at me. All right, now I'm just gonna pick you up. And I'm gonna do like this, and I'm gonna make you love me. I'm gonna hold you for like 20 minutes. I'm gonna pet you, and we'll do that every day.
Oh, that's so funny. Pet you, love you, kiss you, hug you.
You will love me, little kitten.
You will love me.
It's words.
Oh, that's so funny. Now we have Graceland
Well,
here.
we do have Graceland.
She's chilling in
Okay,
there.
I'm gonna. I'll
Yeah,
grab her.
go ahead. No
Give me
problem.
1 second. Give me a girl.
Yeah. We want to meet her. And we want to see,
I'll tell you the little story about
Sure.
how I came to adopt Graceland. Come here, baby. She's all scared right now. I'm sorry.
I know.
I know, baby. I know you're gonna have a whole bunch of adoring fans. Say hello.
Aww.
This is my
Hi,
baby.
Mama.
Okay, she's actually paralyzed.
Yeah.
So these legs don't really work.
Oh, wow.
When she was about, hi, Mama. She's a little scared right now.
Yeah, I
But when
see.
she was 3 weeks old, or 4 weeks old, whoever had her before
Right.
accidentally closed the door on her.
Oh, my God.
So her back half was,
Oh.
she had some spinal damage.
Yes.
Instead of taking her to a vet, oh, you're allergic though.
No, it's okay. I'll
Instead of
wash my hands
taking her
after.
to a vet, they dumped her in the shelter after 3 weeks.
Oh, my God.
So by that time, not much could be done. But, Louis' legacy, we pulled her from the shelter.
Right.
And she wound up being a foster in my house.
Ah.
And my wife and I fell in love with her.
Aw.
And we adopted her. She was a lot of work because not only could she not walk, but she cannot use the bathroom on her own.
Right.
So I have to express her bladder 3 times a day to make her pee.
Wow.
And I have to stimulate her booty to make her poop. So it's definitely work.
Yeah,
But
it
she's
is.
worth it, and she's very happy. And maybe not now
Not
specifically.
now. She gave us a run for our money earlier today. She was like,
she's-
phew.
She is a very, very, very happy kitty.
Yes. She has beautiful eyes.
She does, and she got a cute meow.
Look at her eyes. Are so well. Her pupils are like
Yeah,
extended.
yeah. She's like I said, she's kind of terrified. She's not used to
I know.
being out of the house.
I know.
She cried the whole way here.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
But she's good. She'll be all
Yeah.
right. She'll be like, okay, put me back in.
But yeah, she has a little bit of feeling in them, but they really can't. They're really useless.
Yeah. They have so much technology now with that type of, I know. She's like, hello, where am I? She has,
sorry.
I know, right? Her ears are going back, and she's like, where am I? But you'll be okay, cutie pie. I know.
Say
She's
hello to
meowing.
everybody. Say hello.
Say hi, Grayson. Say hi.
Look, you're very photogenic, unlike your dad.
Well, somebody's saying hi to you. It's Rena.
Oh, hi, Rena. Hi, Rena.
Somebody's watching.
I'd put her on the floor so you guys can watch her run around, but then we'll have to go find her again.
Oh, my gosh. She just ran.
She is fast.
She is.
For a cat with only really 2 usable legs, she's surprisingly fast.
Well, let me tell you, she gave you a run
And she,
for the money.
and she climbs.
Yeah.
We have the cat trees, and look around, and there she is on top of the cat tree. She has no fear.
Well, they say that when you lose something, you gain
Yeah.
it wherever,
Yeah,
your most
and
power
animals,
is.
unlike people, she's shaking. Unlike people, animals, adapt really well to disabilities. So
Right.
they don't have that kind of ego that we have. They don't get depressed. They're
Right.
missing an eye, they're missing a leg. They just go on with their day, and okay, now I got to compensate a little bit.
I know, but she's a good girl.
She is.
She's just a little scared right now, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And you just messed up your whole daddy's black gear over here.
Oh,
Now you're white, black and white.
yeah, seriously.
It's all right.
As part of owning a pet too, if
Yes.
you got any clothes, you're gonna have dog hair, cat hair
I'm telling you,
on it all the time.
oh, it's incredible. Like when I sweep just after a day, and my dog's hair, I could just knit a freaking sweater.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, oh, why do you? And I tell my husband, take him in the back and just brush him down, all that hair. It's just crazy.
One of my plans, I was telling my wife when we first started, having pets, I was like, look, gotta have all black cats because at least the hair won't show up on my clothes.
Oh my God, we gotta match the color with the
gotta
clothes.
match. You can't tell. So now I got gray cats, white cats. Now it's just a mess.
It's a mess, but you'll be all right.
Yeah,
You'll be okay.
Totally worth it. Totally worth it.
She is a cutie pie. She's very
I
strong
love-
for
yeah.
just two legs.
Yeah, I thought she's a great cat. She really is, and she loves us. Like I said, she's scared now, but at home totally different.
I'm
cat.
sure she'll be all right. She'll be happy when you put her
And
back in there.
She's so fast too.
She is.
Like she knows when it's time that I have to make her go to the bathroom, and it's like a cat safari. I gotta chase this, and it's kind of embarrassing. Here I am, 5'10", chasing after this little cat with 2 legs, and she outruns me.
Oh my God, that is so funny. She's a good girl though.
Yeah, she is.
She's just a
Hello
little
to
scared.
everybody.
That's all. So basically with Louis Legacy, has Louis Legacy ever done any other collaborations with any other type of animal adoption agencies or?
Sure. I mean, there's been other events where we've worked with other, rescues and stuff like that.
Okay.
There's been some like really big adoption events before COVID hit, like in Manhattan and stuff like that. They would have like the Best Friends Animal Society.
Right.
Would put on like these big events, and you'd have like dozens and dozens of rescues show up with all their pets.
Yeah.
Adopt-A-Palooza, which would happen in like May and September, probably would have been this month in Union Square.
Right. Stuff like that. Yeah. That's good. I mean, like I said, when I came across you, I think it was almost 2 years ago.
It was
maybe?
last year, actually. Last
It
year
was-
in Thompson's Park, right?
In Tappan Park.
Tappan Park,
Yes,
sorry.
yes. And I think you had the cutest little tiny.
We had the little Yorkie.
Yes. Oh my God.
Lola.
Oh my. Yes, Lola.
Lola.
That was it. She was so cute. I
Yeah,
wanted to take her home and put her in my pocket.
I did too.
But she was so cute, and that's a great thing because hopefully we can get back to that era where we have events,
Yes.
and it's just to have that basically that agencies where they could come in and just let everybody know that hey, animals and dogs and cats. They can be part of your family.
Absolutely.
And,
get the word out there about things like spay neuter. It's important to spay neuter your pets.
Yes.
Get the word out there about fostering, because even if you're not ready to adopt, you might want to try fostering.
Right.
And at the very least, you're doing is helping save a life.
Definitely.
So that's a noble cause in of itself.
I listen, if I had a huge house, I would have my yard just full of dogs.
I don't blame you.
I mean, I love cats, but I love dogs.
I love all animals. We even, we even adopt out rabbits once in a while. We'll get some rabbits.
I was
Rabbits
going to
are
ask you,
really
is it
fun.
only dogs and cats, or do
Well,
you have?
it's, the majority is dogs and cats.
Right, but you
And
have.
we have a couple rabbits. We had a couple rabbits. We got them adopted. I guess if we came across a guinea pig, we wouldn't say no to help it. You know what I mean?
That's good. So it's not only dogs and cats.
The majority is.
The majority, but you have other.
If there's an animal, like if there's a bunny out
Right.
there that needs help, or a gerbil, I think we might have had a gerbil.
Oh,
we
gerbil.
took somebody's gerbil in.
Oh my God.
What's the alternative? So
Right.
we'll help that animal, and we'll try to get it a good home.
That's good. So, Chris, how can people go ahead and try to find your information and reach
So,
out to you?
sure. Anybody who is interested in fostering, adopting, you can always go to the website www.louieslegacy.org.
Okay. Well, we're going to have that link also at the end of the show, and also we're going to have the link at the webpage. So when you go onto YouTube or when you go on to Hub 17 NYC on Facebook and also Marcie Photography on Facebook, we'll have all that information if you're interested in adopting or fostering a pet. Chris here is the man. Definitely. So, Chris, I want to tell you, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Definitely. I mean, come on, this is a time where, everyone at the moment, it's basic their home. And there are a lot of, people that are alone. And, having a pet, a dog or a cat to look after and to care for, and you're doing something that you're saving an animal.
And
so
if
definitely
people can't foster, there's other ways they can volunteer, and there's other things they can do. Just as a fact is, adopt, don't shop.
Right.
Everybody has by social media. You see an animal in need on social media?
Right.
Share it.
Definitely.
Sometimes that'll help. That'll give the animal that chance to find somebody else who will maybe adopt it or foster it.
Definitely. And I'll tell you, for Staten Islanders, we're big on cats and dogs out here. And
love our animals.
Yes. I'm telling you. And I know a couple of people that they just adopt the cats and they come in and they give the food to in the backyards and they the cats tell their friends to come.
Yeah.
And say, come on over. We got
Spread the
some
word.
food. Exactly. Spread the words. And we have Graceland here. She's so beautiful.
She really is. I love this kitty.
And thank you for coming to Graceland and, besides you running under the sofa there.
You're welcome.
So, Chris, once again, thank you so much. And hopefully, after all of this, we could get more animals adopted.
Absolutely.
But if you are interested in doing that, adopting or fostering, please reach out and we'll have the information for you on the website and also on our YouTube channel. So all of that information will be available to you. But thank you guys for hanging out with us, Starving Artists Podcast Show. And we'll see you next time. Bye. Thank you. Aw. Hi, Graceland.
Oh my God.
Oh my